Hey, and welcome to Hitting the Apex, but actually, I've been thrown for a loop here because Mr. Santana, you're live.
Like a Mexican sushi chef. Yo! Look! This is Gus! Gus Trujillo from our fan! He's my best friend right here!
I still can't eat lunch from the other day, so whatever.
I just wanted to come on since he's with me. And we can't do the show. We do love you guys. But Gus, our number one fan, is here. So wanted to give you guys love. Bish, Moni, you guys are gonna kill it. Love you guys.
Let's do
it.
RB.
No, RB love me. Esa mierda.
I say Ferrari.
I don't even need to do an intro. Let's just hit the song.
Let's go.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Hey, Moni, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you, Bish?
Can't complain. So, for those of you that were there a minute or so ago, you can see where Jazz is at. He's not here. We're losing co-host faster than Ferrari loses engines, but we're gonna persevere here. We don't get engine penalties, so we should be good. But yeah, Jazz had a private event tonight, but he did stick his face in the stream. I don't even know if he knew I was gonna add him, but I saw him backstage and
That's cute.
hit the button. So Moni and I are flying solo tonight. Before we do that, I do have I'm doing Jazz's job, so which means time for you break wheel fix. So let me read this ad. So you break wheel fix repairs damaged wheels from curb rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof with a house powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel Off-Road. They now even offer no credit check financing up to $5,000 for a new set of wheels, fast turnaround times on all repairs, and they even provide loaner wheels in many cases. You Break Wheel Fix is your total automotive wheel solution, located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard. Check out some of their great work across all social media. They're on Instagram, Facebook at You Break Wheel Fix, or on their website, which you can see on screen, youbreakwheelfix.com, or give them a call, 305-748-0112. You Break Wheel Fix, changing the way you see wheels. So this is not my comfort zone, but I persevered. We got through it.
No. I don't know about you guys, but I feel pretty comfortable with this. It's a nice little spin. It's a nice little change of plans, and I'm here for it. Bish. So if you want to try it again, This is like plan. This is like when Ferrari on lap 2 is like, we're thinking of plan G. Listen, I'm all for the Ferrari analogies. It just seems to work out every single time. So let's keep it going.
All right. Well, with that, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it because we got a busy show. We had a race last week and we got one this week. I guess we'll just start with straight away looking at kind of some of I guess let's go through our predictions real quick. So I do have the predictions from last week. So Jazz had Max winning, so he got that one. Leclerc second, he did not get that one. Sainz third, and then Checo with the DNF. Moni, you had Hamilton winning. Mm-hmm. Checo second, Leclerc third, Sainz DNF because of an engine failure, which I will say, he just pre-engine failured.
I know.
It's not that wrong. He just started at the back instead of failing during the race. And then, I should win an award for the worst prediction ever.
Go.
It's going to be hard to beat this. So I had Checo winning.
Okay.
Leclerc second.
Yeah.
Sainz third. And then okay, wait, hold on. No, it's going to get worse because we're not done yet. So my surprise pick was both Mercedes DNF.
Yes.
They both ended up on the podium. That is, you guys should just be taking my predictions and betting the opposite and you'll get rich.
I know it looks like that. It looks like
that was a classic. So yeah, so it didn't go the way that the way I thought it would. One of the things that did happen, though, and we talked about this a little bit, is Sainz took a bunch of engine penalties, which we did not know about during the predictions, which is why Sainz was maybe a little bit higher in some of our predictions than we thought. So that definitely happened.
Listen, I wasn't. At least I got a little bit of mine. I mean, Hamilton wasn't. He won, but he was in there. So
yeah, yours was not bad. Yours was not bad.
I had some way worse.
Yeah, I mean, mine is. I think it's gonna be hard to top what I just accomplished last week. I mean, all three wrong on the top three, and not even close. And then the double DNF for the team that ended up with 2 of the 3 spots on the podium. I mean, you're gonna struggle to get that one.
Literally right the opposite. Literally.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just take money, bet it against whatever I predict. Do the opposite, you're gonna get rich. But just looking through the finishing order here. So Verstappen obviously won, Hamilton second, Russell third, Perez fourth, Sainz, Alonso, Norris, Ocon, Ricciardo, Stroll. How about Stroll and Vettel crashing into each other in the last quarter because Vettel wanted that last point? I mean, there was some stuff in this race.
There really was. It was a real French energy this weekend. It was there.
So then, okay, so you obviously weren't there for our instant recap show. So what were your overall thoughts then on kind of the race and how it played out? Like, obviously a lot of stuff happened throughout the race.
Yeah, no, there was so much going on. I mean, I guess generally speaking, the top 3 kind of met my expectations a little bit. I expected a lot of competition between Red Bull and Ferrari and Mercedes. Of course, I didn't expect that that Leclerc DNF. Actually, okay, I'm not okay. I'm gonna finish this idea first, and I'm gonna get into Leclerc. But overall, I really enjoyed the race. I was a little disappointed in Checo because in my opinion, he kind of let his guard down, and Russell, of course, took advantage of that virtual safety car, and he was like, "Bye, Checo, see you never." So that was a little disappointing.
But just on that point, I will defend Checo a little bit. So what happened there is he definitely should have focused more and not gotten caught napping. But the virtual safety car thing broke because Formula One can't do anything right. And so there's supposed to be, I believe, between 10 and 20 seconds when that virtual safety car ending thing comes up. They randomly do it within that window of actually going green again. So that way you can't time it and cheat. Like, oh, I know it's going to be exactly at 15 because they will actually count 15 seconds and hit the gas before it turns green because that's how Formula One is. So they do it randomly. The thing broke. So it took more than a minute. If you watch the race back, you'll see how long it said VSC ending. So I think at that point, Checo's like, what is going on? And he's not really, and then all of a sudden it went green.
Oh, yeah. And also, because I also heard that there was like this discrepancy coming from Checo that they told him that, I guess they gave him like an inaccurate time when it came down to the VSC. So that was partly why he was a little bit angry about the whole thing.
Yeah, well, there was a malfunction. They had to go to the backup system to turn the VSC off. Mm-hmm. So when they usually put that VSC ending thing up on the screen, and the drivers also get that notice, and that's when they lock in, and they're like, okay, I know it's going to go green. They're just waiting for the green. Mm-hmm. And then it didn't go green. Yeah. And they sat there, and then Russell was waiting for it and pounced. So credit to him, but it was just, I mean, the FIA can't do anything.
No, I think the world agrees. Yeah, I think the world agrees. But overall, I don't mind the top 5. We have, as you said, Max, Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Sainz. I think the top of the grid looked. It kind of kept me on my toes most of the time, to be honest. Especially since obviously I didn't see Leclerc spinning out. That's when I was like, whoa. Now what? That was like a nice little spin. No pun intended. Actually, that was a nice little spin to the whole thing. So I enjoyed the race a lot, actually.
Yeah, no, it was definitely entertaining. It was bizarre. So let's just get, let's just do this. What happened with Ferrari? What is going on with that team?
Dude, I actually, you know what? Um, I was watching this YouTube video, um, with a little summary about the race and everything, just going like little by little, kind of addressing everything that went down. Um, what do you mean a regular t-shirt? I thought all my t-shirts were regular. I mean, I don't know how to take that, but thanks.
I don't know. It's just you're wearing a t-shirt. Obviously, what Jazz and I do on their other shows. So like you're supporting the team here. So I mean, I had to put the comment. I don't know what do you mean by regular t-shirt. She's always wearing a t-shirt from what
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean, I
remember.
always wearing t-shirts. I don't know.
But I had to draw attention to your supporting the brand here. So
Yeah, I was like, let me support my friends for a minute. Let's do
here
this.
we go. Here we go.
I was watching this video that was kind of like going over the race little by little and addressing everything that kind of went down. And there was something really interesting that I heard, and it said he was talking about Leclerc and how what happened to him. Yes, it was a mistake, but I guess you could say to what extent. And he said something very interesting, Vish, and I kind of want to know your take on it. He said that the spin out on Leclerc was kind of like a symptom of this obsession for kind of picking a driver within the team, like kind of having no balance within the team to avoid making such a wide distinction between both drivers. So he was saying this is a symptom, and I don't know if the right way to put it is maybe to some degree there has been like an extra amount of pressure also given everything that Red Bull has been not Red Bull, sorry, excuse me, Ferrari has been going through the past couple of races. So I don't think that anyone really saw that coming with Leclerc. So I don't know what your take is on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the pressure got to him. He was pushing when he didn't need to push, and he threw the race away. And it's not the first time he's made a mistake like that. I think it did get to him. There's, I mean, we don't really talk about this a lot. There is a different kind of pressure being a Ferrari driver. That is as much pressure. It's like being the quarterback of the Cowboys or whatever. That is like a different thing than just being quarterback. And we've seen Alonso, then Vettel, and now Leclerc in a row. These are, two of them are world champions, just not be able to cope with it. So I think there is something to that. Now, in this case, I don't know what he's thinking. He's on old tires. The strategy is working for him because Red Bull had to pit early. He just needed to see the stint out, and the race was his. And why he was pushing at that point to the extent that he lost control, I don't know. But then, mark of a bad team, they took that one. That was obviously a huge mistake and used it to ruin Sainz's race too. Because they messed up his pit stop and they unsafe released him. So we're going to talk about why they pitted him again. But the explanation they're giving, which I think could potentially make sense, is, they thought with Sainz on worn tires, he would not have been able to maintain a 5-second gap because he had a 5-second penalty. So if he'd stayed out and taken the 5-second penalty, he would have ended up behind, if Russell and Checo are within 5 seconds of him, he ends up in fifth anyway, which is where he ended up. So this way they got a fastest lap point and fifth, and it was safer because you're not worried about like the tire coming apart. That's their explanation.
There was also a point, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously we know you have a golden memory, and that's something that a lot of us don't have. So you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But when they told Sainz to pit, I believe it was, and he was like, no, not right now. Or like they were telling him, oh, you got to pit. And he's like, no, not right now. I just feel like there was so much tension in the Ferrari garages during the race. And after Leclerc spun out, that kind of transferred onto Sainz. I just felt like there was so much going on for Ferrari that it kind of fired back a little bit on them. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no. So that, in their defense a little bit, the way they played those messages are always delayed. So they kind of play them after they've already been said. So you kind of don't what you're watching on the screen is not what was happening when they said whatever they said. So there's a delay there. The problem is, so he's basically he's stuck behind Checo, and he's like, I need to come in. These tires are gone. I don't have the speed here. And they said, no, stay out. So he stayed out. He's like, well, if I'm going to stay out, I need to pass Checo and open a 5-second gap. So he's right on Checo trying to pass him when they come in and tell him to pit. Mm-hmm. And that's what's like, wait, what now? I'm about to overtake this guy. Why? Right. And he did overtake him. And then they pitted. So, yeah, I agree overall. There's no confidence. Like, own the decision. Just be like, this is what we're doing. And this is what and they kind of did both things. They waited too long, then pitted.
Yeah.
Because he was the fastest man on track at the end, but he was too far back. So, and again, the only defense of which I think could potentially be true of why they pitted him is those medium tires were not going to last to the end of the race, so he would have dropped back anyway. And again, he had to be up by 5 seconds to hold that place because he had the penalty. So even if Russell and Checo are right behind him and he holds them off, he still finishes behind. Mm-hmm. But again, the 5-second penalty is because after Leclerc crashes, they blew his pit stop. Mm-hmm. They blew Sainz's pit stop. They didn't get the tire on right, and then they unsafe released him. Right. So it's still their fault.
Yeah, no.
It's like it was like one problem caused the other problem.
Yeah. And honestly, even he managed to get points. He managed to stay in the top 5, and he actually managed to make it to the top of the power rankings. So props to him.
He had a great drive. Like I think Sainz was he won driver of the day. I'm curious, is that your kind of selection as well?
My driver of the I don't remember. Hold on. I wrote it down. When I say that I don't have good memory, it's because I mean it. Hold on. Where's my driver of the day? Sorry, guys.
All right. Well, I'll go with Sainz while you're finding that.
Who's my driver of the day? Yes, Sainz. I went with Sainz too.
Okay. Yeah, I think he was on it. He was the fastest driver, and also I really enjoyed the way he was passing. He was making overtakes because the Ferrari was the fastest car on the day. Yeah. It's not the fastest in the straights. Mm-hmm. So he had to really navigate those overtakes. That was excellent. The way he set the passes up. You notice he didn't always overtake in the DRS zone. He would kind of set it up and really use the car well. So I thought he had a great drive. It's probably one of the best drives I've seen him have.
Also,
and I think I was 5th out of it.
Leclerc, he spun out on, was it a turn 11?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and that those two turns 11 and 12 were a little brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what Leclerc was doing. I mean, and I'm not even a Ferrari. We need Jazz here to really like get the full misery because I'm not a Ferrari fan, but I just wanted a title race, and
No, and honestly, I mean, I'm assuming that for Leclerc is also a little bit even more harsh on him because that gap keeps widening in the standings. So
right. So let's talk about that actually. Good segue. There's your standings. Is this, I guess, blunt question? Is this over?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, maybe not. But Leclerc has to get busy. He has to get busy, and he has to. I mean, he pretty much has to win the rest of the season. If this is going to be, because what?
Almost a third.
We have. How many races left?
I believe 10.
10, right? That's what I'm saying. That's why I said short answer. Yes.
I mean, he's pretty much going to have to win 7 or 8 of those.
Yeah,
like, realistically. Exactly. He's going to need Sainz to finish second to push the points down.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people will argue that it is over.
I mean, I guess the one caveat to that is some of these, if this was the third race in a row where Ferrari was clearly faster.
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't get anything for it, but they were faster. So
they were, and look where it got us.
Yeah. So, but if they can continue to be faster, maybe they can just string wins together, and then if Red Bull has a DNF or two, then I think that's going to take Red Bull messing up. If Verstappen just finishes every race, it's over.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So what they need to do is have Sainz run into him.
Yeah. it's
I mean, unfortunately, they're not capable of putting together strategy like that. So.
I know. I see them kind of stuck. To be entirely honest with you, I see them kind of stuck.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, Checo's almost in second.
Yeah.
7
yeah,
points.
He really is. I'm telling you, at this point, I feel like Ferrari would need to rely on a couple Red Bull DNFs and just make sure that Leclerc wins, as you say, maybe anywhere between 7 and 8 of those next races. And that's a challenge and a half, at least for what we've seen, no?
Yeah, especially even the number of times he's been faster and not won this year. So it's not even just having the car faster. He's making mistakes and screwing stuff up.
Yeah, he is.
And when he doesn't, the team does.
Yeah. He's been making a lot of mistakes, 100%.
All right, and then I guess the constructors is
Look at that.
Probably gone too.
But hey, look at McLaren and Alpine. I see that.
Yeah, it's official. It's official. Alpine is now taken over. Yeah.
Okay. I have a genuine question because I always get confused. Who says Alpine? Who says Alpine? Do the Brits say Alpine or do we say Alpine? I'm confused.
I mean, I just say Alpine. I don't know what it's supposed to be.
Neither. It could be. It's like aluminum and aluminium, whatever.
Well, but I just assumed. Okay, maybe I'm completely wrong. I thought Alpine was like the French pronunciation.
Yeah, I think it is.
My English is Alpine, so I don't know. Yeah. I was just trying to pronounce it the way you're supposed to. I don't. Hold on. This is why we have Google. How do you pronounce Alpine?
We gotta get the right. This is. We gotta get the right answer.
Is it pronounced Alpine or Alpine? If you're going to pronounce it Alpine, spell it Alpine. This is a Renault forum where they're arguing how to pronounce it.
Okay, you see, we're not the only ones having this conversation.
Okay, all right. So this is hold on. Here we go. Can I play this? I don't know.
Okay, Tap is typing. He puts Alpine is the French way to say it. What do you mean Alpine or Alpine? Like, I need you to sound it out in the comment, Tap.
Okay, so I did not figure out how to play it over here, but I did just watch a video of a French guy saying how to pronounce Alpine by Renault, and it is Alpine.
Okay. So, okay, I'm going to go. I like Alpine anyway, a little better. Okay, you see, Tap, look, Alpine.
It was.
That's funny. Okay, I'm going to say Alpine from now on. I think it's more worldly.
All right, we've made a ruling. We will call it Alpine, and then Jazz will mispronounce it next week. But
that's No, but yeah, look at that gap between Alpine and McLaren, and Red Bull is just way too up there.
Yeah, I think that's over too.
Yep.
Now, keeping in mind, just for a refresher, where they finish higher up, you get more money. Mm-hmm. But actually, one of the advantages to being worse is you get more practice time in wind tunnel time next year. So, one of the things that actually has been hurting Mercedes certainly this year is everyone knows Max won the title last year. Mercedes won the constructors. So they had the least amount of wind tunnel time and development time. So they reversed the order. So next year, Williams, for like the 500th year in a row, will have the most wind tunnel time. But yeah, so there is there in a way, especially for a rich team like Mercedes or Ferrari, finishing low, giving you extra time and areas to spend that money is actually probably a good thing. But
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, obviously, rather win the championship. But
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
all right, with that said, just kind of wrap up the race from this weekend. So we talked about driver of the day. What about the driver that upset you, disappointed you?
Listen, I'm gonna go the basic way out of this. I'm gonna be basic, and I'm gonna say Leclerc. I feel that his mistakes, especially during the French Grand Prix, I just don't think that he was at the moments before he spun out. I don't think that he was under like this crazy intense amount of pressure that just pushed him to make that mistake. Like that was all him. I think that was all him, in my opinion. So he was.
So according to him and Benotto, it was all him. So there was a little, and actually Jack was hilariously making fun of this earlier, but there was like this whole radio message playing about the throttle being stuck. That was him actually trying to reverse out of the wall. And because you can put the cars in reverse, he was trying to still like stay in the race, and it was stuck there. But no, he threw the race away. I mean, that's the easy, like you said, the basic, easy, obvious answer.
Yeah.
So I can't disagree with that. I'll just give the silver medal to Checo. You can't get passed by George Russell like that. What are you doing there?
I know.
You're in the faster car. The other thing that he probably, Checo is like the master of kind of managing a race and managing tires. That's like he's probably the best in the world at kind of just overall managing the length of the race. He should have known Sainz had a penalty and not shredded his tires and trying to hold him up. Sainz had faster tires at the time, was in a faster car, and either had a 5-second penalty or was going to have to pit again. And Checo, spent a couple of laps trying to hold him up, shredded his tires, allowed Russell to close the gap up because when you're blocking, you're going slower. And then after Sainz passed him, Russell was right on him. And it didn't have to be like that. He should have just managed his race better, and he at least would have gotten third.
I know.
So
I saw that and I was like, oh my God.
So I'll give him a silver medal on the disappointment scale. Obviously, it's got to be Leclerc. I mean, you had the race, won, and you just bend it.
Yeah, definitely. But okay, Checo and Leclerc disappointments for us this weekend. Makes sense.
Yeah, and just a couple of other things to touch on. First of all, did you hear we shouldn't laugh, but the Leclerc yelling no in the radio.
Oh my God. That was intense. I'm going to tell you something.
That was hilarious.
That man was going through it. Like he just needed to emotionally release everything that he was going through. And that scream was intense. And I enjoyed watching it. Not for any other reason. I was like, this is a funny time. Not for him, but for me.
I mean, it was funny for everyone I'm sure some of the Ferrari engineers were even like, don't laugh.
Literally, don't laugh. Yeah, that scream was crazy.
And then Jack has pointed this out in the chat. What in the world? So just to recap for everyone. So when we mentioned earlier how Checo actually was up, I think 4 or 5 seconds on George Russell when Sainz caught up to Checo. Checo fought him for like a lap and a half, got past. And at that point, because he had spent so much time defending, Russell was right on him. So Russell dove up the inside, maybe got like his front wheel sort of even with Checo's back wheel, went straight across, blocked the whole track, so Checo had to swerve to avoid getting hit. It was a completely insane attempt by Russell.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, Checo went off the track because otherwise it was a crash.
Mm-hmm.
He must have spent the next 5 minutes whining to Mercedes. Right? He went off the track. He cheated. He's got to give the place back. So Toto comes on and says, just overtake him on track.
Mm-hmm.
His race engineer comes on and says, actually, you were behind. And he's like, no, they have to enforce the rule. And what in that? I'm like, dude, you were behind the whole time. That wasn't a pass. Like, Checo should just let him hit him. I mean, next time just be like, fine, we'll both be out.
Yeah. I don't know. There was something about this race. There's
so much whining going on, man. Maybe they got into like they got into the French stuff and
they got hit by the energy. They got hit by the energy.
Yeah, they went. I don't even know what going French means, but they went French. And
they went French. At this point, does it really need an explanation? Let's leave it at that. They went French.
Yeah, we'll close it off with this. Yeah, so Leclerc wrecked the car before Ferrari could figure out how to ruin the race, which is, we're making fun of that. So Max had pitted. Leclerc hadn't yet. He was going to stay out longer. There was definitely some strategy in play there for them to screw up and hand Max the win back anyway. So,
thank you, Jack. Thank you for breaking the news. You changed the Formula One spectrum as you usually do on Wednesday nights. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Bringing that other perspective of, it was nature was going to take its course anyway. It was just the manner in which it happened.
It was going to take its course.
I mean, this is the team that made them eliminate refueling because Felipe Massa pulled away from the pit stop without them taking the fuel was out. They dragged it down the pit lane. Like, okay, we can't have refueling anymore. So there's always a way for them.
Yep.
Alrighty. So before we start talking Hungary, a couple of news items from the week. So this is the last race before the new flexi floor rule comes into play where they measure it.
God.
So the thing I wanted to get your opinion on. So Toto, ever the altruistic, not selfishly at all.
No, never.
No, of course, never is saying they should have enforced this from the moment they saw what was happening, rather than give the teams several. Basically, what they did is they gave them several races and the winter break, because after this we're on winter break until Spa, which is about a month away, to get it sorted before they do the new enforcement. So, the question for you is, all right, taking away the fact that pretty clearly Mercedes does not have this floor advantage and Red Bull and Ferrari do, which is why Toto says they should have enforced it immediately. Do you think he's right? Should they have enforced it immediately, or do you think it was fair that they gave? So they did delay the enforcement multiple times. You recall first they gave like a couple of races and they kept pushing it back. Now they're saying for sure in Belgium, but
right.
That's the case.
Here's my I guess I understand where Toto's coming from, knowing who Toto is. Okay, I have to make that clear. Knowing who Toto is, I guess I understand where he's coming from. To be honest with you, Vish, I have a bit of trouble. I guess you could say trusting the FIA, or at least trying to like follow up with the FIA for multiple reasons. So I don't fully understand why the FIA kept pushing it back, like kept delaying it. And obviously Toto is super frustrated because they had a very underwhelming first half of the season, and it's evident that Ferrari and Red Bull have had an advantage over Mercedes. So I'm honestly, I kind of disagree with Toto, while I understand where he's coming from, while I know how he is. So I just think that it's being blown out of proportion a little bit on Toto's behalf. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I sense you're kind of on the fence there, and I kind of am too. So the thing is, if it's illegal, they shouldn't be able to run it, right? And allowing them to continue to run it's not fair. On the other hand, Fernie, you're asking like there was no reason given. I think the reason is to allow the teams to adjust to this. Because is it fair to come in and say we let you run this for 10 races? It's illegal now. Go figure something out. Right. I mean, so I don't think there's a good answer there. They probably should have, enforced their rules correctly from the preseason. And then they wouldn't have these problems, right? I mean,
be in this situation.
Apparently they accidentally discovered that this was happening. Like, I don't know, they're supposed to scrutineer the cars. So I feel like the mistake was made a long time ago, and now they're trying to deal with it. And there's never a good answer for me with these things because it's in the interest of fairness, the teams do need time to adjust.
Yeah.
In the FIA on a race by race basis signs off that the car is legal. So if I'm in race 8 or 9 or whatever Canada was when this came up, and all of a sudden people are telling me what I'm doing isn't legal, even though I've done it for 8 races, I'm gonna be like, what, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I do need time then to adjust to that, but it's just there's never any consistency.
That's the problem. There's really no consistency, and
so speaking of that, so next year there's even more floor changes, which gets us to our other pal Christian Horner here. And
oh my god, here we go.
And so basically, just for brief on how F1 works, there's sporting regulations. They go through committee. People vote on them. That's how they kind of come up with what you're allowed to do. And the reason it's a design series versus some series you just buy parts and assemble them. You design it. They give you parameters. You design the car within it. So to change that, it has to go through committees and get approved after they've published the rules. However, the exception to that is if you say it's a safety thing, they can kind of force it through immediately.
Right, it's an easy way.
So for 2023, there's a bunch of floor change rules, which allegedly is to stop porpoising, which they're calling a safety thing. So Christian Horner is, of course, not happy with that, given that the Red Bull basically does not porpoise.
Right.
Because even the Ferrari, we have that weird thing where it porpoises, then it stops when it needs to. It's kind of like a weird phenomenon, but it's definitely porpoising. But like the Red Bull does not. So clearly he does not want the, why are you making adjustments? And now everyone's going to have to make changes to comply with this, whether it impacts them or not. So his argument here is that they're just saying it's safety to force it through without having to go through the normal process. So one, do you actually think porpoising is unsafe to the point that they should be able to pull in these rules and not have to do it? And second, is it fair that I guess Red Bull is in a way is getting penalized for having their car correct in the first place?
Right. I do think it's a little bit unfair when it comes to Red Bull. So I kind of understand where Horner's coming from. However, when it comes to porpoising, yes, it is it is it is a bit of a porpoising is definitely a concern. And of course, it's of most concern to Mercedes, who has been the one most affected by it. The drivers have been like visibly affected by porpoising and everything. So I don't saying it's a safety concern is obviously the easy way out to just pull this through, just pull the trigger and just make it happen. But first of all, I'm not sure that I would go as far as saying that teams like Red Bull and Ferrari are cheating, as it's been said by certain, or not, maybe not even straight up said, but they've been like sending subliminal messages. I'm not sure because, Vish, correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember correctly, there is a 2 millimeter flexibility on the floors, right? And there's certain parts of the floors that are not necessarily checked. There's only like maybe 3 checkpoints for the FIA on the floors, and then there's certain points that they don't check. So teams have been taking advantage of those points that are not checked, and they have actually been achieving like 6 millimeters of flexibility. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but they've definitely. So you actually might know more than I do. But there's definitely you're exactly right. They're measuring it at certain points, and so it flexes at the other points, and they can actually tell because the floor plank is wearing out on some of these cars because it's basically scraping the ground the whole time. But that's not the part they measure, so it's technically legal.
Right. I mean, as far as porpoising goes, I think that the FIA has to be very. I don't know what the word is here.
So this is also, just to be clear, this is where there's a gray area with some of this stuff because they're saying we're not changing the rule necessarily. We're changing how we're checking the existing rule. you're not supposed to flex. So if we measure 10 more points on there, that's not a new rule. We're seeing if this other point, which is, again, it's borderline. It's like if you're taking a test and the teacher says, like, we're not covering chapter X, and then they ask you a question on it. I'm like, well, it was in your textbook. You know, it's kind of
exactly. You put it the perfect way. It's a gray area. It's a gray area, and that's why it's so difficult.
And I think one of the challenges with F1 is we want these teams to push the limit of the regulations. That's where the interesting innovation comes, and they rely on the FIA to test those correctly and tell them that this is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So if they didn't devise an effective test, I don't see how that's on the teams.
Yeah.
But changes are coming, so we'll see. Which, again, a previous conversation on whether or not, Ferrari can get back into this. One of the things that would probably have to play into that is these new enforcements in Spa actually slowing Red Bull down.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that maybe, going to our final kind of topic before Fernie's parking another plane. He's not using that. That is not a euphemism. He's actually parking a plane. That could mean all sorts of things, but in this case, it's literal. If these changes somehow cause them to on certain tracks, maybe be behind the Mercedes,
mm-hmm.
where all of a sudden it's like Leclerc can win and maybe the best Max can do is fifth.
Yeah,
that's a game changer, because right now the only way they finish behind the Mercedes is if they get in an accident or something. Yeah. So, with that said, last week we talked about how Mercedes is going in the right direction, and wow, this track looks like it suits them. Maybe they can actually compete.
Yeah.
So they managed to finish second and third, but they were not even close.
Yeah, no.
So, the question I wanted to ask you: other bizarre, outside of some kind of bizarre thing, where Ocon won a race last year and some weird thing happening, can Mercedes legitimately win a race this year?
Oh, yeah.
And just for some context, Lewis Hamilton has never gone a full season without winning a race. Even in some of those bad McLaren cars, he managed to win a race.
Okay. I feel that I should give Mercedes the benefit of the doubt. I feel that. Not necessarily saying that I legitimately think that they'll be able to win a race, but I definitely feel comfortable giving them the benefit of the doubt, at least when it comes to Lewis Hamilton. Not sure that I would put my money on Russell so much to win a race, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Hamilton nailed it. Do you think they could legitimately win a race?
God, I cannot believe I'm giving up on Lewis Hamilton, but no. No, it's too. He's the last few races he's been on it.
Mm-hmm.
Car's too slow.
Yeah, it is.
He's driving the hell out of that car. He's been significantly quicker than Russell the last few races.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. They were still what 6, 7 tenths down in qualifying. You can't make that gap up. So it's gonna take some kind of accident or calamity in front. I guess I will say they were one max engine blowout here away from a 1-2, but that was because Sainz got penalties and Leclerc crashed. So I think there's a way that they can win a race, but it will take. They're not going to finish first in a race where all the Red Bulls and Ferraris finish.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it'll have to be an external factor kind of situation.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Which, it looked like they were going in the right direction, closing the gap, which, again, we need something to wedge in there. They're obviously not going to win the championship, but, if they could take points off of basically saying Red Bull to help close that gap down some. Because if Red Bull, like I said, if Max finishes every race, he's pretty much got the championship wrapped up. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons is, the worst he's going to finish is third, fourth in a race. He's not going to finish fifth, sixth. And unfortunately, the Mercedes don't look like they're going to be able to change that. So, yeah. Kind of disappointing because they were moving, it looked like, in the right direction. And ironically, they finished second and third, but they were so slow. They were a lot slower than I expected.
Yeah. They were.
All right, and I don't know that this track this week is going to help, so
Retweet.
Going to Hungary. All right, so this is what the track is. It's the Hungaroring. Actually, this is, I believe, the track Lewis Hamilton's won the most at, or one of them usually dominates here. But you're seeing, if you're noticing, there's only the two. There's two DRS straights. There's only one detection zone, and that is because the track is very twisty.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of the start-finish straight. There's a little bit of. I don't think we're going to see any opportunities to overtake between turns 1 and 2. You're really looking at this being your only overtaking spot, and then a lot of twisty and turny bits, which the old Mercedes favored. So they used to dominate this track. This looks to me, at least, like a Ferrari track this year.
This track is actually known as the Monaco without walls. That's at least what I've heard.
That is one of the nicknames, just because it's hard to overtake, and you
Yeah.
can see why. There's not like, you need the straights and you need the back-to-back sections, and anytime you have a hairpin going into a straight, it makes it more difficult to overtake, just because you can't get you want those sweeping turns into the straights because you can keep the momentum and set up the pass, and kind of hard to see that here. But again, this should, in theory, favor Ferrari because of because they do better through the corners, through the high speed turn, and this is just a turny track. And Red Bull's advantage on the straights, where they're the top team there, is less because there's less there. In terms of tires, and we're going to get into something around this in a second, they took the middle range again, C2 to C4. Last year it was, if everyone doesn't remember, was that bizarre race where it was raining at the beginning. We're going to talk weather in a second because there's some rain this weekend. But it was raining right at the beginning, and Bottas wiped out like half the field and caused a safety car, caused a red flag.
Oh my God.
He took out Max, Lando, and a couple other people. I think maybe Checo damaged Checo, but didn't fully take him out. Forget how many cars he took out, but he took out several. And so they red flagged it. Everyone in the red flag, you can change to whatever tires you want. Everyone kept intermediates on. And on the formation lap to go back to the grid to restart the race, they all realized they should have been on slicks.
Jesus.
So every single car pitted but Lewis Hamilton, who was in front. He stayed on the inners because from the position he was in and where Mercedes pit box was, basically if he went in the pits because of unsafe release, all 20 cars, because they were the first pit box, have to go past him. So he goes in because it's a formation lap, so they're right behind him. It's like there's a gap. He goes in, they change the tires, he sits there and waits for every other car to go past because they're all entering the pit right behind him. It's a short pit lane. So he basically had no choice but to stay out. So he actually took the restart by himself. He's the only car on the track.
Jesus Christ.
On inters. Everyone else is in the pits because when you pit on the formation lap, you do a pit lane start.
Yeah.
So everyone else is in the pits, in the pit lane. He starts by himself on inters. They lights go green. He's by himself on the track, drives around. They all start in the pit lane. He did open up a little bit of a gap because it's obviously faster on the track, but the tires were on. They were catching him already. He pitted on the first lap out of that, ended up way back down because and basically goes to last place. Charged his way through the field. This was actually the race that Ocon won.
Oh my God.
So it was a crazy race, and the reason was because of the rain. And so this is C2 through C4 is the tire choice. However, we got weather here. So Saturday.
Yep. Oh God.
So this is qualifying on Saturday. So Friday should be fine. There's not really a weather issue on Friday. It's kind of just normal. There might be some rain during practice, but qualifying is going to almost for sure be wet.
Yeah.
76% chance of rain in the afternoon. So it's going to basically rain through the night. And then Sunday, we're looking at showers in the morning, so that shouldn't affect the actual race. And then probably dry during the race, but all the rubber will be gone from the previous section. So there's a decent chance that we end up with a wet qualifying where they have to, which tire should I be on, figure that out, and then a dry race. Which, go ahead.
do you think? Because I'm struggling to make up my mind about it. I'm not too sure. Do you think this will be more of a two-stop?
So on paper, I think one stop would probably make more sense. It's hard to overtake here. And despite all the twisty bits, it is a smooth track. It's like well asphalted. So historically has not degraded tires that bad. So probably a one stop.
Okay.
So I think that's what we're looking at. And I think in terms of tires, we're probably looking at another race where no one really wants to use the softs in the race. So probably C3 to start, C2 after that.
Yeah.
But with the rain on on Saturday, we could get another mixed up qualifying, which would kind of maybe change some teams what they want to do.
I'm actually nervous. This is nervous time for me. I'm actually nervous for Saturday.
I am just anticipating how Ferrari is going to end up with Leclerc like in 10th.
Oh my god, I'm so scared.
I guess the question, it looked like he went in head first. Hopefully we all know the engine's in the back, so I'm hoping there's no engine penalties. But hopefully there's no engine penalties for him. But yeah, the qualifying is going to probably be crazy with the rain.
I can feel it's going to get a little intense.
And that should mix the grid up. Speaking of qualifying timings, qualifying is at 10 a.m. Saturday, races at 9 a.m. Same timings as last week. Practices are obviously Friday and Saturday morning. But yeah, with the rain, anything can happen there. So with that said, we already got we got Fernie's predictions here. You got. I'm almost like afraid to go because I was so bad last week. So I will. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I have Science P1.
Wow.
Science P1. I have Hamilton P2, and I have Max P3.
Science, Hamilton, Max, and then your surprise?
I think my surprise is going to be Russell DNF.
We have just become, since Manny left the show, it's been an it's not been a friendly place for our friend George there. So Fernie has not that different from you. He's got Sainz, Max, Leclerc, and then the Hamilton DNF. So, I mean, after my last week double Mercedes DNF, I'm not touching a DNF on a Mercedes right now. Let's see. So, let me get Jazz's in here. He did give me his prediction. So,
he did?
Yes, yeah, I did collect this from him. So, Jazz has Leclerc, Max, and Sainz as his top three. So we went the other Ferrari man. And then his surprise was Zhao DNF, which I don't even think counts. But
what was it?
It was Zhou DNF.
Oh yeah, I mean
he's DNF'd a ton.
Yeah,
I don't think that counts.
That wouldn't surprise me too much.
Yeah, we have to push back on that one. He can't get credit for that. All right, everyone else is going Ferrari. Oh, you know what? I'll just go with the champion. I'll go Max.
Okay.
You know what? I'll just go. Ferrari's going to completely screw up, so I'll go Max, then Checo, then Hamilton.
Oh.
Just no Ferrari in the top three.
Ferrari. I'm so scared.
And then, God, what is my? All right. All right. For me, the surprise will be. Oh God, I'm gonna regret this. Ricardo in the top 5.
Oh my God, this is bold.
It's not bold. It's stupid. The guy can't drive.
No. Listen, that's precisely why it's bold. You know.
Well, it's supposed to be.
True.
I don't know if Jack is still in the chat if you want to throw a prediction in there. But yeah, so just to recap, you and Fernie have Sainz winning. Jazz went with Leclerc. I went with Max. So nothing too, those are the last 3 race winners actually. So nothing too outlandish there.
Yeah.
I have Ferrari. I have my DNF for is Jazz. That's that DNF, man. Actually, I guess technically he did start. He did the formation lap. And then he pulled into the pits. So I was going to say did not start. But you're right. He DNF'd. That is a true statement.
That is accurate. That is as accurate as it gets.
Yeah, he did the formation lap. He came on early, like did the lead up, and then didn't take the race.
Which driver are you gonna be watching?
Well, now Ricardo, apparently. I just did that off the cuff, and I'm regretting it already. I like to pretend McLaren doesn't exist during races, so I don't have to realize what they've become as a team. So now I've got to actually pay attention. It's kind of worse.
Yeah.
No, I think more of a serious kind of non-jokey answer. I think to me it's Leclerc. He has got to somehow get his head back on right. He knows he threw 25 points away last week and win this race. He has to win this race. So that's who I'm watching.
I agree with you. I'll be watching Leclerc too. He's literally in the eye of the hurricane right now, I believe.
Yeah, and we've seen, that Ferrari pressure has melted people before. Like Vettel, it's hard to remember this because it was in that string of times where Hamilton kept winning the championship. Mm-hmm. There was one year where Ferrari had that illegal engine where their car was faster. And Vettel was leading the championship in Germany and literally basically did what Leclerc did. This was pretty late in the season. I think it was 2018, and he just it was kind of, at least in his defense, it was changeable conditions. It was damp, and it wasn't like that slick. And he just was leading the race, crashed.
Oh my god!
And I think Hamilton started like 8th in that race and won it, and that was the end of the championship.
And Ferrari syndrome.
Yeah, it's been going, like I said, they're the reasons there's no refueling. It's been going on for a while. They celebrated Felipe Massa winning the title, and then Hamilton made a pass in the last turn and won instead, and they were celebrating even though they lost. Like that was like 15 years ago at this point. This is an ongoing thing. That's still like depending on what side of the fence you're on, that is still the most hilarious. Also, last time McLaren won a championship. But the whole Ferrari, the Ferrari pit crew celebrating, and everyone kind of like, they lost. So who's gonna tell them? You're gonna tell them?
That's so bad.
That's still like the classic Ferrari-ness, but
classic. Yeah,
so it's a tradition. So yeah, at least it does provide entertainment, and Leclerc screaming no into the mic and all that. You can't beat that. You can't beat the drama.
That was wild. And honestly, I'm living for this Horner Toto subtweeting. They're like subtweeting each other every single day through interviews. Hilarious.
Yeah, they're definitely, they're taking shots at each other, and I don't even know what Horner's doing. You're so far in front.
Yeah, I know.
Why do you care?
Yeah, exactly. There's literally no point. I'm actually really looking forward to watching Haas this upcoming weekend. I'm actually really excited because, as we know, Magnussen is getting a little bit of updates. No?
It is not a little bit. It's the upgrade. It's the only one they're getting. It is the long-awaited upgrade. We've been waiting for this.
Yeah, and then Mick isn't getting any. So at least Mick is not getting any until after break, no? So I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what's going to happen with the Haas cars this weekend.
Yeah, and Magnussen has not been better than Mick the last few races. I'm curious how they chose. I guess he's ahead in the driver's standings, but it wasn't a clear answer who should get the upgrades. But yeah, so they spent half the year making upgrades, and they come and make it up for one car.
Dude, how do you think they actually made that choice? Now I'm curious.
No, I think Mick is ahead in the championship, so they probably just went with that.
Right.
I mean, sorry, not Mick, Magnussen.
Magnussen, yeah.
I got my M's mixed up, but
literally. Okay, I'm not the only one. I often mix them up. I don't know. They like resemble each other in this weird ass way. I don't know. And then they're Mick, Magnussen. I don't know.
Yeah, and we lost Mazepin there. So. That is basically what George Russell did. I am all here for the Making Fun of George Russell podcast, so we will continue this tradition.
You're the president of that club for sure.
I know, I am. I somehow, all I said was he's overrated, and somehow I'm now participating in this whole thing as like exaggerating everything. All I said was he's not as good as everyone thinks he is.
What's that saying?
Turned into now. Yeah, it's either him or Latifi is the worst.
What's that saying, Vish? You either, what is it? You either become the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, something like that.
I think I've made the transformation. I will say someone's got to counteract the British programming, so I will gladly do that. Because everything, like the narrative in Formula is all driven by the British press. So, you know, George is great. He's not that good. Forget this.
Right. Yeah, a little overhyped every now and then. I'm not.
But Jack is basically describing exactly what happened. He dove up the inside, almost punted Chekhov, and then was like, "How come he's in front? That's not fair." Yeah,
he went full blown Karen. He really did.
Yeah, and then had to be told by his race engineer Toto twice to shut up.
Literally.
Like, you were wrong. You're lucky you didn't get a penalty.
Yeah.
Anyway, Karen time. Yeah, he did. That was a new Karen is born is accurate. Alrighty. Well, so that was something of a preview. So we do have Fernie said we'll see you Sunday. We do have the post race show on Sunday after the Hungarian Grand Prix, and that is the last race for a month. So we will at least have time to breathe and talk about some other stuff off the track maybe a little bit after that. These back-to-back races is a lot to get through, so we can and this is the time of the year. The summer break is when drivers start switching teams, so we might get some news around some of that. So a lot to cover in the next few weeks, but we'll definitely be there Sunday right after the race ends to talk about the Hungarian GP. Hopefully, I mean I just picked Max, but come on, Ferrari. Make it interesting. I don't want 4 weeks of like Max has definitely already won the championship. So signs if you can take him out in the first turn and
No, yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind Ferrari spicing.
You gotta play for keeps here, man. Just Fernando Alonso would definitely crash someone out on purpose. So there's priors there too. But. Anyway, yeah, we'll be back. Jazz will be back on Sunday as well, so we'll hopefully have the proper hosting and all that. But thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Moni for holding it down here with me, so I didn't have to just talk by myself on the show.
Thank you, Vish. This was fun.
Yeah, and anyway, so we'll see you guys on Sunday, and then obviously follow us on Twitter, F1 Reasons, and check the show out on Sunday, and then we'll be back next week to look at the Hungarian GP and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff. It's Formula One. It never stops. So we'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.